And if you've come to another place where there weren't a lot of super athletes, you come to the right place, because I'm kind of old. I'm going to show you how to hopefully do a few things easily. First off, thanks for attending this session, and I hope that the weather is as nice there where you're at. We got a great day here in Bloomington, Indiana, and almost moved things outside, but decided to keep it in here. I hope that the title didn't throw you off a little bit on this particular training session. It's talking about how to do some things for children. And basically it's to help keep them from getting kicked out of school for various things while they defend themselves. But I'm going to throw quite a bit of stuff in for adults also. And basically I'm going to be going over a kata that I sort of made up on my own, that's taking several ways to put people on the ground without punching, kicking, hitting them, that type of thing. Just strictly going with, let's take our person out of balance and put them on the ground so that a person can get away. And you'll see that as we go through this, if you want to add in anything such as, let's get out of this without doing anything to them, but before we hit them, before they get to the ground, we do hit them, you get to add that in, okay? But again, this is just for us to be thinking about in reference to our younger students. Here in Indiana, if you are walking down a hallway in school and Mr. Bully comes up and smacks you in the head, you're not expected to fight back. If you fight back, you get kicked out of school too. You're expected to tell a teacher so that they stop. A friend's supposed to go tell a teacher. So what I started coming up with, because one of my students did hit somebody back, and then the mother was asking why we teach people to hit when that's not exactly allowed in school. And I had to go back and think, well, you know, he pulled out of his tool bag what he's taught. So let's teach some things that are a little bit different and see if the go-to technique, instead of punching somebody in the head, is hug them, so to speak, take them to the ground and get away. I don't think you can get kicked out of school for hugging somebody that's just hit you in the head or is trying to hurt you. So we're going to go through this kata. It's 10 techniques. Each one will be from one side and then the other. You can see it's just repeated. I'll go over it several different times so that you can see what we're doing and explain the various things that I'm using here, such as Kuzushi Triangle point, balance disruption, long bone takedown, forward pressure, all the different things that when you put them together make takedowns easy, so that when you show them to your children in your classes, right now, we can't touch in class. We can't have anybody that is touching yet. We all have to have masks on. So they all know the basic techniques and katas that we've gone over. And once we start up on June the 2nd, because this is when the first time in our state we're going to be able to get back together, no touching. So it's going to be nice maybe to show them a different kata for them to learn, and then be able to start to show them how to actually use it out on the street and that type of thing. So first off, I'm going to show you the kata. Then I have a uke here with me, Matt, one of my students. We're going to break down all the points. The very first thing that we go over will take the longest, just because I want to talk about all the different things that we are doing. Then the rest of it should go fairly quickly. So I'm going to show you the kata to begin with. Hopefully everybody can still hear me and see me okay. It just starts here. My left foot's moving, and then my right foot. And you can see that I'm moving my hands. I'll explain all the different things that I'm doing here in just a second. I step forward and back. And as I said, I just repeat everything on the other side. And again, there's 10 just basic takedowns there that I'm not going to hit anybody. I'll just simply move them and that type of thing. So I'm going to have Matt come out. We're going to discuss the very first technique, which was these right here. I know they can be strikes and that type of thing, but if I'm trying to move a person, I'm here and we get into a struggle, it's actually the wrist action which moves people. So if I want to take him out of balance and I want to move this arm in his neck, when I do that, all I did was chop down and push up real quick with just simply wrist techniques. Obviously, if a person has a gi on, which a lot of time they do, you can move it around, but you have to be able to do things on somebody that's wearing a t-shirt. People just don't wear gis. So as they come around, you know, a lot of times we'll roll in on this pressure point and that type of thing. But if I just throw this hand up at the same time, he's already out of balance. So as you're looking here, you can see head is no longer above shoulders. Shoulders are not above hips. Hips are not above knees. This person is out of balance. Once a person goes out of balance, in a nanosecond, their body tells them that they're out of balance and they try to recover. They're rolling over their little toe. They're pitching forward or backwards. They're trying to regain their balance. They're trying to find the Kuzushi point. And Kuzushi point just basically means that if I push him sideways, a foot finds some place where a stick or a pole should be to hold that person up. If there's no way for him to do anything to step to that point, if you take the body to that area, they have to fall down. It's pretty simple, and that's what almost all martial arts are based on. How to take a person out of balance while you stay in balance and you're able to do your technique. So let's take a look at the very first one, and again, I'll show it from different directions. It was this right here. So Mr. Bad Guy, that's Matt, he has come in, he's grabbed me, threw a punch at me or something. My hands are down here. As I pull in, I step and I pull my person to me. Now from this side right here, you can see 1, 2 feet, my foot steps right beside his so that I've got 3 feet in a row. When I pull my person, I don't step, and you'll, especially when you teach this to the kids at the very first, or you think about it, you'll want to do this. You took yourself out of balance. Instead of, let's say, finding the top of the bone right here and cutting in and down and bringing them to you. You can see he's out of balance. Now, there's several things you have to start thinking about now. One is, if I move, since I just became, and basically, if he just stands still and I let go, I'm holding him up. I have to step so that I don't hold him up, and you'll see people that want to just step forward and see how he ran into me. He's going to take me out of balance because I stepped incorrectly. You always want to be thinking about 45-degree angles. Take your person out of balance and simply move in another direction, and they're going to fall down. So as we came through here and I stepped and I pulled, I'm just going to walk to 45 with my C step. As I do, he immediately starts to fall down on the ground. Now let's talk about that just a little bit. If you notice, as I step through, I've got him on my hip. I don't want to come through, and again, this will be what you see a lot of people do, go cut in, put their foot behind him, and right now he's attacking my leg. I still step to 45 degrees, but he's going to fall on my leg here in a second and actually hurt me. I'm just walking. I step in, I C-step, I catch him on my hip, because now I'm in control of him, and allow him to sit on the ground, pulling this arm up. Now this does a couple of things. One, 10-year-old Billy picks on 8-year-old Bobby, and Bobby drops him to the ground, and Billy hits his head on the floor of the school. That's still not going to be a good thing. By letting them slide down my hip, I can control the person all the way to the ground, pulling up on them so they don't get hurt, but I stay in control. Next, because I have his arm, as we come in, I can now push him away so that I can escape. Remember, what we're looking for in any self-defense situation And you probably tell this, like say in women's self-defense class or various self-defense classes, the basic bottom line is the person is doing something, you stop them so that you can get away. That's basic bottom line. This is self-defense. Stop the person, get away. So while I'm here, as I'm doing this first technique, I'm stepping, controlling, and at no point did I lose my balance, so I can simply get away. The next thing, as we're building on this, is I have to talk. I have to say things. By talking, saying things, you eventually lose breath and you have to breathe. So that means during your confrontation, which is going to be traumatic and cause a lot of people to hold your breath, you have to start breathing, which is going to keep you in the fight. Also, if I'm going, stop, can somebody help me? Stop. I wasn't starting the fight. That's pretty clear. I was asking for help. Can somebody help me as I was leaving? Now, again, I can't say 100% sure that hey, dog just came in to help. I will not perform any techniques on the dog unless I get asked to. But what I want to make sure that you're thinking about is that I want to take my person down, controlled, let everybody know I'm not the person that's trying to start this fight. I'm trying to just get away because that's the basic bottom line of self-defense, and then get away, period. I didn't mean to hurt them. I just meant to escape from them. Last thing that we'll go over is that, and we'll turn it this way, as I come in, I'm real interested in this arm right here for what I call long bone takedowns. Think of your Kuzushi point as anywhere around your body. Again, as I showed, if I push him, he automatically finds the point. So as we're coming into here and I grab, I pull this arm in tight to me while I push, and you can see his arm is pointing to the ground. Matter of fact, that arm is pointing right here. So he's going to fall right there. And Martin, how about if you go upstairs, okay? This is live, folks. Thank you. So we're right here. If I do anything, let's say that takes him out of balance this way, he's now wanting to sit down. All I have to do is understand that, and anywhere that what I term long bone will take my person to the ground. So let's look at that just for a second. It's easy to see that this is a long bone. It's pointing to the ground. If I turn him more, this long bone now becomes from here to here. We all know this is not a single long bone going across from here. But in my mind, from this point to this point, there is a straight line. There is a bone there, so to speak. And as I pull this arm in, it takes no pressure then to collapse my person to the Kuzushi Triangle point. The same thing then when I did this, when I came in and got him like this is now one long bone. Again, we know it's not. It's a series of small bones. But all I have to do is push in that direction to make my person sit down. Your attacker is basically telling you what direction they want you to sit them down, to get away. And so practice then helps you be able to do that in a stressful situation. That's why I'm doing this kata. So again, let's go back now and take a look at that first move, which was here to here. So I'm here, person has swung a punch, they're done. I'm going to show the arm up here in just a second. As I come in, I dump over the top of the iliac crest. That brings my person to me. I'm looking to 45 degrees. I C-step. They drop down in a controlled manner. I push them and get away. Here. Now then, the second move that follows up on this is this. Now this can be for the adults that are out there, the people that are going, well, I can use this a little bit differently. As the person's falling, you can grab other things and twist them in the other direction as they are, or slap them as they're falling so you can knock them out. But I want to take this just as a technique. The easiest way to show the Kuzushi Triangle point is if he steps forward while he's walking, he's found a Kuzushi Triangle point. We're constantly out of balance when we're walking, and we just always find the Kuzushi point so we don't fall. He takes another step. So on this next one, what I'm going to do is take him to his second Kuzushi Triangle point. When he pushes me, hey, don't do that. Why? Because we know he's going to do it again. I just asked him not to do it, and he's being Mr. Bad Guy, so he's going to try to do it again. So he pushes. Hey, don't do that, okay? He pushes. I simply took him to the second point. He can't run fast enough. As he pitched forward, his feet were stuck in the ground. Again, my body stays in balance as I drop him to the ground, which means that I can then leave. So those first two moves are pretty simple. I call this taking out the trash, and then skipping a point. Then the kata just goes after here. I just do it on the other side so that I can practice putting those together. And I like that very first one just because it's the one I show the most. Most of the times, especially in school, you may have somebody punching at you, but as was shown in the last training session that was on here, people like to come in and grab you. If I start trying to pull away, I'm already here. So instead, I engage. See, he's out of balance. I bet if I just walked in the exact same motion he's walking right there, he's going to fall down on the ground because he has to fall over his little toe. Once you start getting into this and start working on balance, you'll see how easy it is to take a person out of balance in almost any way that they step. Again, they tell you which way they want to fall. So again, the first two moves, here and back, and just repeat it on the other side. Now, if I happen to get here, he's come in like this, and my arm is up here instead. We can see, we can strike in the head, we can do a lot of things, but again, we're talking about kids. So I like to go to, in modern arnis, there's a point right in here that's called basically two-lock point. If I push in and down at 45 degrees, makes a person's hips fall away from me. So instead of being here, I happen to be up here, I still just grab the garbage bag. Why? Because remember, I'm taking out the trash. That's why I call it this. Pin this in here. This arm's pointing down. I turn to 45 degrees so I don't get caught by my person falling. And I fall to the ground. Down my hip, I'm still in balance, and I'm able to leave. First two moves of the kata, both sides. After that, after I throw here, I go 1, 2. And again, immediately you're going to say, well, wait a second, you're kicking. I know that in martial arts, we strike to lock, lock to strike, and we love to strike just so we can strike them again. But we're talking about going for strictly balance only. So I'm not kicking anything. As my person has come in and has pulled me slightly towards them, I just step behind them. This hand is going, they want me to, they're pulling me towards them, so I'm saying, hi, how you doing? And then once again, as I go, he just wants to fall backwards. I pull up on this arm so he can't, push him away from me so I can turn and get away. Turning sideways here. Again, if he pulls and I pull, we're just pulling. He pushes at me and we're pushing, okay? Bottom line, simple definition of jiu-jitsu. You push, I pull. You pull, I push. So we're here, and when I feel him pull on me, I just walked with him. I just went right with him, rolled right in through here. One of the items that I'm using is the fact that this shoulder does this, rotates, it's round. So I'm not trying to, he grabs and is pushing on me, and I push through in and up a little bit. there's nothing back here. He's already starting to fall over the back of his foot. So if I come in here, he pulls on me, I'm down, push, and move him away. And it's important to note that the moving away is an extremely important part of the technique. In my classes, the person has to take the person to the ground, turn, and show me at least 2 steps that showing that they would leave the area. If they just throw the person down and pick the person up, that becomes part of your technique. Out on the street, whether they believe it or not, they'll take a person to the ground and just help them up. And then the fight's back on again. So you got to make sure that you do the complete technique. I've taken my person down and now I'm leaving. So again, we were here. That's the 2-step skip here. I don't let them step at this point. I take them all the way over to here. Now I'm in and up, tripping them. Not exactly tripping. Again, I'm just stepping right through them. If you've ever seen anybody just walk to 45 degrees, he starts to grab me, he steps forward, and I just turn and I just walk to 45 degrees. That starts making the person want to fall over. If you're holding on to the upper part of their body, they have to fall over. So here, when I step, he's gone. He has to fall because I would just keep right on going. The next motion then is here to here. Okay. This is a little bit harder concept for some of the younger kids, say 8 to 10, but after 10 or so, they start picking up pretty well on this. I'm going to draw a line from this part of the shoulder straight across to this part. Obviously, if I'm too high, get into the neck. We know that that can cause all kinds of problems legally and all types of things. Here, it's not where it doesn't do what I want it to do. I'm going to draw a line from his shoulder to his shoulder, but what it's going to look like I'm trying to do is start on this side of his body and end on that side of his body if I could cut him in half. Matt doesn't like it when I cut him in half, so I'm not going to do that today, okay? But you will see just from this part right here, always controlling the arm, when I step in, he's ready to fall down. Now then, I could make him fall over my foot. I can even push him a little bit in that direction and take his leg away. But the simplest thing to do is step out of the way, take him to the ground, still holding up on the arm, and then leaving. Now then, this is one of those techniques, especially for adults, that as I come into here, I can hook into MHN 18 instead, take his head out of the way. That might really look like I'm hitting him or something like that. We can come in and find other points to make him move. But for kids, just come in and just have them step straight through. Kind of looks like a spear hand. Just tell them, you know, don't pull the still beating heart out of the person that you're up against, okay? Then after I do that, I'm wondering back what's back over there. He seems to lean in that direction. So I just turn and look, hold him, and I'm going. And again, I would be doing the exact same thing that I told you a little bit earlier. As he comes in, stop, somebody help me, help. I'm breathing, I'm talking, they know that that's the bad guy, and I am not. So again, from the first, I started in, take out the garbage, put my person down, make him skip the first Kuzushi point, go to the second one. We just do it on both sides. Step behind with a roll, step behind with a roll. Now this time I step forward, and that's showing that you can move your person pretty simply. This end of the kata right here is kind of like every eye pattern kata that you've done. And if you haven't done katas, a lot of times on your very basic ones, you have a little, what's called the 270 turn. This is going to be going for a pressure point, talking about how to move the feet, And again, just putting your person down on the ground. When I come into this kata, I'm here trying to get on a red square so you can see my feet a little bit better, or a blue square rather. As I turn my foot, that allows me to just step in a straight line. See, I'm still in balance, and then turn. I didn't have to come in and try to figure out how to spin around. Spinning is going to slow me down. I got to keep this person in tight. So as I step in, here in a second, you'll see I drop and just step. From right here, I could go this way, wherever way I want it to go. But I'm just making my turn. So as we come into here, Mr. Bad Guy's here. We'll start facing this direction. As we come in, this comes down. I hit the pressure point here. If there's one arm up, I'm going to hit the pressure point over here. If both arms are up, I'm going to get this pressure point in here. So we're here, and I'm like this. Now then again, this point right here, as I roll down, see how it took my person up. He's ready to fall down already. I'm pretty sure that he's just going to be taken down. So what I like to do here is that as I roll in, this is tucked in tight. I do my step, take my person to the ground, and I'm able to get away very, very easily and simply. So this one right here, as we come in, all you're going to do is think I'm going to collect one arm, push or roll, do my step, turn my person away to get away. So from the first again, all I'm doing is taking out the trash, the double Kuzushi point, the step behind, shoulder, shoulder, collect one arm, down, one arm, down. So that brings us up to the next point. This one here, again, for younger kids, you may want to save it for, say, 12 to 14, 11 to 14, something like that. And we're going to be getting into our third eye. The third eye is going to be, of course, right here. And if I press just as hard as I can right here, he doesn't really go anywhere, because that's not how you attack that particular pressure point. You want to flick your hand up, and when you do, his head goes backwards. Now, right now, I'm pretty sure something needs to be here holding him up. Since there isn't, I'm going to press straight down. So that, in other words, if I do it like this and start pressing back, see, he can walk with me. I want to put him down on the ground just as soon as I possibly can. So we come into here, down immediately. And see, I'm pulling up on the arm. We're here, push him away, get away. Now again, you can, as adults or instructors, come in here, just strike into the point. That'll work. Right here, as you start to take him down, you can do other strikes. As you start to do this, you can sweep a leg at the same time and just drop him straight down to the ground. That's understood. But what, again, we're really concentrating on is how to take people down without striking them. We're just wanting to take their balance away from them, take them down, control them, and then simply get away. Okay, great. So from the beginning again, because I know some people at the first session were going along with the kata as I was doing it. Now we're going to come to motions that do this. Okay. Now the reason that we want to do this is sometimes people just don't do what we want them to do. I was hoping that he'd allow me to pull him in, do something with his arm, whatever. Instead, as I came down to here, he pulled his arm back. See how I went with it. If he pulls and I pull, That's no longer jujitsu. So as he pulls, I push. Because again, we just discussed this. His shoulder will do this. As I roll it and step, see how he had to step. He's starting to lose his balance. But he's only found, again, one Kuzushi point. I'm going to take him where the long arm is pointing to, the long bone, to the second point, the one that he can't catch up to. So as we're here, we start to do something, he pulls away. I just take him down, move him away, and get away. One more time. We're here, for whatever reason, I start to grab this arm, he pulls away. So you can even do it like this, adding the shoulder roll instead of the double wrist grab. So basically, again, the main thing that you're wanting to look at, just from this side, you might be able to see it a little bit better. As he rolls back, see how you had to step. I don't care about that first leg. It's the second leg, this one over here. If I go straight back, he's going to be able to step with it. I can't allow him to do that. So as we're right here, I snap this arm down, following the angle of the arm, takes him to the ground, and I'm able to control him and then get away. And again, we're still adding in the stop what you're doing, et cetera, and that type of thing. So again, from the beginning, take out the garbage, skip 2 points. We're just doing it on the other side. Step behind, shoulder, shoulder. You can call this a down block if you want to, since that's what they call it in karate. Third eye, and again, remember it's up and the wave of the hand. Third eye. Now, ringing the bell, and we're into our last set. Sometimes somebody will grab hold and one arm isn't going to pull him in. If he comes in and I can come up to here and maybe bring this other hand in and pull him into me, see, he's already over here, and then I can turn into him and take him down to the ground. But sometimes if somebody's really grabbing and they're grabbing tight, you gotta grab with both hands and do a chin up on their arm. So as I come into here, he grabs in real tight and I do a chin up. Now notice as I did this, I duck too, because I don't really want to pull his head or face into my head or face. So I pull it in. I step straight back, because again, to try to step over here, he's in my way. So I step straight back, and now I turn, drop my shoulder, he's down, we're right there. Now you'll notice that as I drop my shoulder, I pop, see I'm still in balance, so I can stand back up. If you get out of balance while doing any of these, and again, your kids at the very first, they're just going to be dropping all over the place, because you got to make sure they start understanding how to maintain their balance. As I'm here, if I do this, I'm falling too. We want your person always to be in balance and be able to get away. So we're here, he's pulling me in, so I just grab with both arms. Step straight back. He can't stop me from doing that. Now it's hip rotation and simple dropping of the shoulder. There's the arm push, and I'm away. One more time, maybe from this direction. We're here, step, turn, drop, push, leave. Bottom line definition, let's do something which forces the person to let us get away. So this brings us to a part that I kind of left out of that big turn right there, because it comes right after. So right after we've done this on one side, I drop down and do this. Not because it's part of the technique on that for this. I do this because the times that I had Sensei Wally J in for seminars or any seminar that I ever went of his, he always did the drop down where he gets into the point just above the knee to take the person down. And I really like this technique. And several years ago, there was videos out that if I went and grabbed a child, they were to drop down on the ground, sit down around the person's bottom leg and hold them tight so that the person couldn't get away. And you can see where that would probably work. Who wants to walk around with an anchor on their leg? But my point is, if I was going to harm the child anyway, and they drop down to here, and dad's coming out of the house, getting ready to defend the child, I would just do something to harm them right there anyway. So they immediately still drop, because this is going to be a surprise. I'm trying to hold up this 80-pound boy, and suddenly they drop down. It's going to be a surprise.
Sir, 5-minute warning.
Now, when you do, you want to make sure that they're thinking about a technique. So he's grabbed me, whatever leg is forward. Let's do this one right here just because it's going to go closer to the camera for right now. I drop, just like we did. But I drop with the knee on the outside up, this knee down. As I come in here and hug the leg, I make sure that one hand is low and my shoulder is not on the knee. Knees don't go anywhere, but this pressure point right here does. See how it makes him want to step away? So as I come into here, I roll my shoulder this way, then this way. That knocks my person down on the ground, and I'm away. So this last one, this particular one right here, this is for a child and an adult. This is where if they fall backwards and happen to land hard on the sidewalk, that's too bad for them. So we're here, and again, the same leg, I drop down. This is going to be the surprise, and here's the hug. One leg has, or one arm has to be low, because if I push, he can just step away. But as long as I have this blocked, I can take my person down with that particular pressure point. So again, the angle and direction is press sideways slightly, then to the back. So I hug in, my shoulder is here, over, backwards, and I'm gone. That's why I call it, he grabs, the drop, and drive. And we get away. Drop and drive. So let's take a look at the kata again. I'm moving my person around using my arms and my wrists. Take out the garbage. Skip 2 points. Garbage. Step behind with a shoulder roll or a push. Shoulder. Shoulder. Down block. Or whatever you want to call it. Down block. Third eye. Third eye. Arm or bell ring. Double grab. Down. Drop your person down. Let's go ahead and finish up with that technique. Up. Other side. Let's finish up with that technique. I'm stepping with my right foot, left foot, and then we're done. So we reinforce the hands at the very end that have to be moving to make sure that, especially if you're in the dojo and your person has a gi on, it's easier to move them around. But just doing this on an arm or a neck out on the street will make them jump around too, because these can be strikes. Right now, do we have any questions? For these questions right here? Oh, okay. If you have an open mic and you feel like asking a question, fine. Otherwise, I think you can type one. If not, if you thought that the session was good, I hope that you did. I really want to stress that everybody, when you leave here today after all the training, please stay safe. Do whatever it is that your particular state, country, or whatever is asking you to do to stay safe and keep everybody safe. And hopefully at some point in the future, when we have some live seminars, I'll be able to see whoever was here today. I thank everybody for coming in, and I certainly appreciate it. Thanks.